What's up, guys? Welcome back to another training vlog. Today we have our upper body training session. So pilot workout today, testing it out because I'm testing out a new workout split. So today we got, I think, bench press, cable row, some lateral raises for the delts, lat pull down, and some accessories for the arms. Gonna try out some new exercises for the arms. Got a bench supported tricep extension. I'll show you guys those, and then some single arm dumbbell preacher curls. For the bench press, I'll be using the OVR device. It's a velocity-based device. Pretty much just tracks how fast the bar is moving up and down. Strength conditioning coaches use it sometimes to prescribe intensities and other exercise prescriptions. So theoretically, the closer I get to failure, the slower the bar should move, no matter how hard I push. And I can kind of gauge my reps in reserve or my intensity and just gonna play around with it, get some data, collect it, and see if I can correlate a certain speed of the bar with a certain amount of reps in reserve I have left. So it'd be really cool. Let's get into it. So a common thing people always ask is like, how do I warm up for workouts? If you're doing more like explosive movements like Olympic lifting, just strength conditioning type workouts, I would do more of a mobility general warm up to begin with. But if I'm just doing like straight sets of simple exercises, then if I'm not feeling sore or feel the need to stretch, I'll just pick up the bar and just do the movement I'm gonna prepare for, just with lighter weights, and just work up to my working sets. So for bench today, probably gonna do like somewhere around 185 for working sets. So I'll do like a warm-up set with 25 on each side, then a 45 on each side, then maybe like a 45, 10, and 5. And then I'll be pretty prepped to do my working weight. And warm-up sets, you probably don't want to take like more than 2 to 4 working sets. And you don't want to do too many reps per set because you don't want the sets to be fatiguing. So probably like the first warm-up set, like right here, I'll probably just do like 5 reps, slow and control, maybe take a pause at the bottom. You really want your warm-up sets to look exactly how you're going to execute your working sets. But just getting the muscles primed here, because if you're just doing stuff like this, then you don't have to do a big dynamic warm-up, because the muscle groups you're going to be working here, chest, shoulders, triceps, best way to warm them up is just to do the exercise with lighter intensities. Like obviously if you have prior injuries or you just feel like mentally a warm-up helps you prepare, get your body warm for the workout, then that's fine too. Like again, it goes back to that conversation where I think people try to tell people how they should train and stuff, and as long as you're in the general ballpark of like sound training principles, and like if someone wants to do a 10-minute mobility dynamic warm-up before they do bench press, then let them do it, right? Because if there was one perfect way to train, everybody would train that way. So yeah, also I think I'm gonna do these sets Larson style. So what a Larson press is a variation of the bench press, but you keep your feet off the floor, so you can't really use a leg drive. So it kind of isolates the chest a little more. Because you know, it's like some people when they bench press, they really engage their hips and their butt comes off the bench a little bit, which depending on what you're training for, how you want to train, it can be okay. I want to kind of isolate the chest a little more here. Also, this bench is kind of high, so like when I have my feet on the ground, it causes me to have a little arch, which is okay. Again, like you want to have a little arch on the bench, but I think my arch is a little too obsessive, especially when I get to heavier weights. So having my feet elevated allows my back to be a little more flat. So yeah. All right, so normal bench press, moving 205 for a few reps. So Larson press, got 185 on the bar. Just see how this feels. Theoretically, Larson press should be a little harder because, like I said, you have less leg drive. Ooh, only got 3, and I forgot to set up the OVR device. Dang it. OVR device is dead. I think since I put it in my bag and it moves around, sometimes the on switch gets flipped on because it was on the on switch. But I'm going to perform this next set with my feet on the ground. regular style, see how much that actually changes my performance. I got 3 reps last time. Doing it Larson style. Oh, man. My PR for bench ever was like 235, but that was with like rubber weights at the rec center. That was my freshman year, so about 3-4 years ago. And I was weighing about the same I am now. I just took a long time off bench. So really want to get back into it. I was benching a lot back then. Here we go. Whew. Yeah, I was able to get 5 reps there, so 2 more reps in the last set. Makes sense though, because again, that having your feet on the ground adds more stability to your body. So more stability means your nervous system, your brain allows your nervous system to produce more force because it feels more stable. So that's the thing you see a lot too in like a lot of strength conditioning workouts you see online is you have people like squatting on Bosu balls or doing stuff on unstable surfaces because they think it's better for the brain and better for balance and proprioception. But whenever your body feels unstable, your brain recognizes that, and it doesn't, as a safety mechanism, it doesn't allow your body to produce the amount of force it could on a stable surface. Also, if you're on because if you're standing on something unstable, you can't push it to the ground as hard because you're going to be pushing to a squishy surface that absorbs a lot of the force. And again, the more unbalanced you feel, the less output you're capable of. So that makes sense why doing normal bench press, you'll be able to bench more than a Larson press. I got 2 sets of cable rails prescribed, 1 set using a wider grip handle. So as I pull, my elbows a little more flared out, which will target more of my upper back. And in the second set, I'll use a narrow handle. So my elbows are tucked in as I pull, be more lats. And I don't know if you guys can see, but I have a plate right here and attached to the, what do they call it? The cable stack. Kind of like your own at-home gym pin if you need to make smaller jumps between the default settings they have, because here it jumps every 10 pounds. So say you needed to jump only 5 pounds to make a progression. You can add it. Oh, you can add the weight to the pin. That's what it's called, pin loaded. So yeah, here we go. Felt my range of motion decrease a good bit towards that last rep. But yeah, whenever you're doing like an upper back bias row, really want to drive your elbows back and try to squeeze your shoulder blades and scapula together like you're trying to squeeze something in between your spine. Get a good contraction and then let the weight pull you, get a full eccentric stretch. I will say I did miss like this kind of style of training, more like bodybuilder type training where I'm just doing straight sets of exercises. Because, strength conditioning workouts, typically it's like blocks of exercises and you do the exercises kind of in a circuit or superset fashion to save time because you're not going to have much time of a strength conditioning group. Teams might only allocate you 30, 45 minutes per session. So it feels good to be able to get like a full recovery in between sets and be able to exert myself fully and maximize my performance. Because not to say that you can't do supersets and stuff, but you definitely are a little still fatigued from the previous exercise when you do blocks of training like that. Yeah, so for this cable row, more lat dominant, I'm just more thinking about driving my elbows down and back versus just back, and I'm not retracting my scapula as much. So I'm just here versus the upper back where I'm more trying to squeeze my back here. Yeah, hopefully you can see the angle of my arm path from this camera angle. So this is one of those new arm variations I was talking about, bench supported tricep extension. So probably a little impractical if you're doing this in a busy commercial gym, but if you have the space and the equipment, you put the bench, line it up right next to the cable stack, and you want the use whatever attachment you want. I'm using a straight bar here. You can use a rope or the V grip, but you want it to where the height of it is like right above your head. So you can sit down, you can grab the attachment, and you should be able to just pull it down because your lats should be stronger than your triceps. So you pull it down into position here, and then you just extend the elbows, let it come back up, and then repeat. Probably gonna do what, 110. But yeah, you might, like I said, you might do this a little practical. You'd be completely fine just doing a standing tricep extension, overhead extension, skull crusher, jam press, whatever tricep variation you want to use. But I saw this online. That was really cool. Feels really good. Again, it goes back to the stability thing. A little more stable because you don't have to brace. If you're doing a standing tricep extension, you're bracing with your core, which I don't think there's gonna be too much of a difference there. Like, as long as the exercise is stable enough, like you'll be fine. Like, if that was the case, every single movement you would do would be machine based, but it doesn't have to be as long as the movement's stable enough. Like a bench press, a free weight bench press is stable enough. You don't always have to do a machine press or a Smith machine press. But just kind of like it. Gonna try it out for this training block, see how I like it throughout the course of weeks. But yeah, if you ever hear like bodybuilders are lazy, not lazy in the sense of like they don't want to work hard, but just like they choose very stable, efficient exercise selection. So like they don't have to brace their body very much. That's why a lot of bodybuilders, you see them using machines and variations like this. But yeah, let's get into our first working set here. So again, just gonna grab the cable, pull it down, and just get to extending. And I guess theoretically, if you want the most stable tricep extension, you would have like something to strap your arm against something, like a pad. So like maybe right here, you strap your arm to this pole so it locks in your elbow. And that'll keep your elbow joint stable so you can extend. But this is pretty good because it keeps the core from being a stabilizing factor. Overall though, don't overthink it, guys. Like, just find movements that targets the muscle group that you want to train, and good enough range of motion and good enough leverages to train that muscle. And just do the ones that you enjoy. Like, if you enjoy just doing free weights, do free weights. If you enjoy machines, do machines. There's no best way to train. There may be more efficient ways to train for the goals you want, but at the end of the day, do whatever brings you happiness, enjoyment, and helps you reach your goals. All right, second set. But yeah, I think with the use of social media and how everyone's very dogmatic, black and white, they think like this is the only way and the best way to train. It's not that simple, man. People try to over optimize everything, and what they fail to see is that sometimes when you try to over optimize something, you're more inefficient, because it's just like we live in the real world. Like, people have jobs, have life outside the gym, have stressors that may impact their training, and may not have the time to optimize everything. A lot of the influencers you see that talk about optimizing muscle growth, that's literally their job. Their job is to wake up, make content, work out, eat, sleep, promote the supplements, promote their product, their services. and that's what they do. Like their whole life, their career revolves around fitness. But the mom who works a 9 to 5 with 2 kids that's not going to care about maximizing hypertrophy. The kid in high school, he's not going to be able to maximize hypertrophy because he has class, he has sports practice, he has homework. Like I don't know. I really try to fight against the perfecting working out. Kind of to connect back to warming up. Say I already did cable rows. If I'm doing another back exercise, but maybe like this is a pull down versus earlier I did a row, I'll just do like one warm up set, just so I can get a groove for the movement. But in terms of like my muscles being warm, my nervous system being prepped, like all that stuff's already warmed up from my previous exercises and sets. So don't have to do 2 to 4 warm up sets for lats or lat pull downs again after I did a cable row. So say I did a bench press already, I'm supposed to do like a fly later. Just do like 1, maybe 2 sets of warm up for the flies. Don't have to go through a whole nother warm up protocol. That's if you just want to save time. Yep, that's all I do for the warm up. Gonna move this up to, I think I had at 170. For lat pull downs, want to make sure that the seat is high enough to where when you you're locked in and secure onto the thigh pads, because you don't want to like get a heavy enough weight to where it starts lifting yourself out of the seat, because then you lose stability. You're not going to be able to pull down if you're getting lifted up. So sometimes people get lost in the sauce, and they like really keen in on the nuances of training, and not realizing that like the extra effort you're putting in and the extra stress maybe that comes from trying to go into the nuances can actually be more detrimental than the small percentage boost you will get. Because the biggest important thing about training is just training hard and consistently. Like you can have like what some people will call a inefficient workout plan, but as long as you train hard, you train consistently, you're seeing progressive overload, you're adding reps, you're adding weight to your sets, you're getting stronger, then you're getting better, growing, getting stronger. That's all that really matters. Everything else is second to that. Yeah, that was good. Last time I did these, I only got it for 6. I think I just got it for 9. It's a good set. Another thing I've been seeing on social media is like people like don't know how to critically think, man. Think for themselves. Like some influencer posts like a new exercise no one's seen before, and then they're mentioning their favorite creator. Like, is this valid? Is this good? Like, it's okay to ask questions, but like at least like for the basic questions, you can literally Google those things. You can find that information online. Like, there's a difference between like a dumb question and like a thoroughly thought out question that like needs some actual insight. People will just listen to their favorite content creators blindly without thinking about things themselves, using their critical thinking. And that's like even outside of fitness. I'm in college. There's like plenty of college kids who can't think of like original thoughts or questions on their own. All they know how to do is like regurgitate. Big problem with like I think modern society because of the internet and you would think the access of information will make people smarter, but it's like some people don't know how to use it as a tool, they become reliant on it, so it's a crutch. Don't lat pull downs. All we got left is some bicep curls and some lateral raises. Single arm preacher curls on the bench. We have a preacher curl machine here, but it's just something with like the angle of the bench and pad. Like my shoulders feel like they're too forward or like hunched up. Something just a little uncomfortable. So with like having the bench here, I can just stand right here, relax my shoulder, and just curl from here. It's a little more comfortable. So I'm gonna run this for the training program too. Biceps are like my least favorite exercise to train, but they're like the most visible muscle because you can like see it through a shirt and stuff with short sleeves. So you gotta train them, man. People judge you a lot based off your biceps. Really isolates your bicep too, especially doing a single arm. I typically put my arm stuff at the end of my upper body sessions. So the way I structure my upper body sessions, typically I alternate between pushing and pulling movements. So like I did bench, then a row, and then I did a push down, then I did a lat pull down. So like you see how it's alternating there. I typically put my arm stuff at the end because I don't want to do arms first and then my biceps and triceps are pre-fatigued and it limits my pushing and pulling movements because that's the ones I care about more in terms of strength. So what sucks about that is like if you put exercises towards the end of the workout, you're more fatigued, you're unable to recruit those high threshold motor units because of the preset fatigue from the prior exercises. So you're kind of limiting your gains a little bit there. So I definitely should probably spend a day where my arms are first, but you know, I don't know. I don't really enjoy it. So only got 6 reps that set, even though I got 8 last time. Also for these, I know you've seen videos. There's videos out there of people like tearing their bicep doing preacher curls. That's why it's really important to train the full range of motion early, and as you progress, don't shorten the range of motion because you get hurt most of the time. You get hurt in range of motions you haven't trained or aren't strong in. So if you train in this very lengthened position, your body's going to adapt to it. You're going to get stronger, reduces chance of injury. Doing cable ladder raises, you can do these with a dumbbell if you want. I normally do it with a dumbbell, so just switching it up a little bit. Don't have cuffs, so what I'm using is using my wrist wrap, putting it through the hook, and then I can grab the strap on the other end, and I have it like in my hand, also on my wrist for extra support. Use my other hand, just grab the pole here. It's a little light. Let's see what 30 pounds feels like. Okay, so that's a little heavy. So 20 is too easy, 30 is too light. So I'm going to grab a 5-pound plate, do a micro adjustment. See, that's the cool thing about machines, or pin loaded machines at least, or I guess other machines too, is that unlike free weights, which are like have set progression jumps from weight to weight, you could just add plates to these pin loaded machines, make some minor jumps. So let's see here. 25 pounds. That's perfect. So reps there. Turn around, do the same thing. You can do these bilaterally, so two hands at once too, but I'm just doing it one hand right now. Some reasons why you might like a cable lateral raise more than dumbbells is obviously dumbbells is a free weight, so there's no tension at the bottom on the delts, and it gets hardest at the top. Versus cables have a pretty even tension throughout the range of motion, um, and you can change the height of the cable pulley, and that dictates where the movement is hardest at. So I think if my physics is correct, if you put this all the way at the bottom, it's still hard at the top. So that's why I put it more along waist height, so it's smooth, force curve throughout the whole thing. But yeah, that's all I got today. Really good workout out of here, probably like less than an hour compared to my leg day before this. There's a lot more free weight movements I do with that leg day. A lot more even if I do machines like the leg press, it's weight loaded, so I have to take those on and off. So less setup on the upper body day. So it's a good, coming off like a really intense leg day, it's good to have like an easier upper body day where the intensity I train at is still hard, but like the movements themselves are easier. Again, goes back to the whole bodybuilders train lazy. Pin loaded machines, really easy to just hop from machine to machine. So transition time in between exercises are smooth. But yeah, pretty solid workout. Really like how it turned out. I'm probably going to keep running with this for a couple months. But yeah, that's all I got today. Thanks for guys for listening to me yap about random stuff. If you guys have any questions, please leave them down below about training, about sport development, anything fitness related. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Tell your friends about it. Tell your mom about it. Tell your grandpa about it. Really trying to grow my brand. And like always, God bless.